Hey everybody, welcome back to Lettuce Comics. My name's Hagen and I will be your host today. A couple of things before we get into the video. First thing, I have 89 subscribers right now and I could not be more thankful to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for checking in and seeing what I'm up to. And I really hope that you enjoy what you're seeing and you stick around. Second thing, my shtick so far has been intros. Some of them have been better than others. This video, I decided not to do one for a couple reasons. The first being the idea that I had didn't pan out. I didn't like the way that I was able to shoot it, and rather than show you guys something that I wasn't a giant fan of, I just decided to cut it completely. And I had the option to either film an intro or get a video out to you guys, so I chose the second one. The second reason is that the last intro that I made, a Baywatch spoof for Mon Comics Act of Kindness unboxing, got me put in YouTube jail for a bit, or at least got that video put in YouTube jail for a bit. If you ask me, it was 100% worth it, and I really liked how it turned out. Brandon from Mon Comics seemed to enjoy it as well, so I'm going to go ahead and link that right here. And if you want a funny intro to a video, go check that one out, because I worked really hard on it, even though it kind of doesn't look like I did. Now, on to the actual video. I had a choice of doing one of two things this past free comic book day. The first one was I could go to my local comic book store, Borderlands Comics, and enjoy their free comic book day sales and see what they had to offer. The second choice is I could have gone to Cabarrus Brewing Company to Charlotte Microcon. I've never been to a brewery comic book show before. I've seen a bunch of people go to them and they look really fun. So that's the one that I decided to do. My local comic book shop is really cool though, and still let me put a bunch of free comic books in my pull box that I picked up. So thanks, Borderlands, I appreciate you. I tried to get a little bit more footage for you guys this time. I'm still not super great at it, still feel a little bit self-conscious when I'm filming in public, but I'm actively pushing that down so that I can make better videos for you guys, and so you can see all of the things that I see at these shows that I go to. I did have a non-comic book friend with me at this show, so I wasn't able to stick around for as long as I might have wanted to, and this past week for that comic book show, money was a little bit tight, so I only had about $30 or $40 to work with. So I wanted to see what I could do working on a smaller budget. Now, Cabarrus Brewing Company is a brewery that is in the middle of a old mill. It's not the only store that's in there, but it is pretty much the largest one. And they had this comic book show in one of their open spaces in the middle of this brewery. It was really super fun. There were a bunch of vendors there. Every vendor that I talked to was really, really nice, and I just had a really great time looking through bins and seeing what everybody had on their walls. I just really enjoyed myself. So go ahead and take a look at my time at Charlotte Microcon at Cabarrus Brewing Company. Even though I was short on time and cash, I still think that I made my time at Charlotte Microcon worthwhile. And the first things that I picked up were these. I picked these up from the very first booth that I saw. They happened to be the people who organized the event, so I was happy to support them and show them how grateful we all were for organizing such an awesome event at such an awesome location. These I actually got out of their $2 bin, so each of these was $2. And let's take a look at each one individually. The first book is this one. This is Fantastic Four, number 238, and I got it because of the cover, obviously. I mean, it's a Doom cover, but it's not a Doom book. You can see, honest, Dr. Doom is not in this Marvel comic. I don't know anything about the story in here. I don't know what relation the cover has to it or if it's lying, but I've seen this around and I thought it was kind of quirky and interesting, and $2 for something like that is an instant pickup for me. So, Fantastic Four, number 238. The next two things that I picked up were two What If comics. The first one is What If Daredevil and Captain America. It says that it has 3 stunning sagas of alternate futures. So if it's a 3-for-1, I'm all here for that. I love the What If storylines. I pick them up whenever I can, whenever I see ones that I don't already have. And this one definitely goes along with that. I love Captain America, obviously, and I really like Daredevil, so this was a no-brainer for me, also out of that $2 bin. So, What If, number 38, featuring Daredevil and Captain America. The last book that I picked up from that $2 bin was this, What If, number 29, What If Captain America had formed the Avengers. For those of you that don't know or aren't aware, Captain America is the leader of the Avengers whenever he's on the team, pretty much, but he was not a founding member. The founding members were Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Giant Man, and the Wasp. So this is a story of what if Captain America had been the one to select the Avengers team first. I haven't read it, haven't seen it around before, but knew that I had to pick it up just because of the premise. What if, number 29, What If Captain America had formed the Avengers? That same booth also had a $5 bin of signed books. The first one that I got out of that bin was this, The Amazing Spider-Man, number 533, and this is actually a doubly signed issue. It's signed by Straczynski and Garney, the writer and artist on this series. I love the Civil War storyline. It's the storyline that was coming out as I was getting into comic books, so it's always going to have a special place in my heart. I'm trying to collect all of the issues. I don't think this is going to be the one to make it into that run because it is signed, so I would want an unsigned one that I could have for that. But it's still a really neat thing to have, and maybe I'll find something interesting to do with it. But that's The Amazing Spider-Man, number 533, signed by Straczynski and Garney. The last book that I picked up out of that signed bin was this one. This is The Ultimates number 1. It's still in the poly bag, which I think is neat. And you can see here on the cover, there is a signature. I didn't know who it was, so I actually had to ask the guy, like, hey, do you know who signed this book? He said, yeah, it's Jonathan Hickman. So I have a Jonathan Hickman signed Ultimates number 1 still in the poly bag for $5. Like, that's a no-brainer to me. I would like to have one that's out of the poly bag so that I can actually read it, but as far as interesting, neat pickups, for $5, I don't know if you can get much better than that. So this is The Ultimates number 1, signed by Jonathan Hickman, still in the poly bag. That booth also had a box of sets. I love getting sets because I love miniseries and one-shots, just stories that have a beginning, middle, and an end. I love just tearing through them and seeing the different things that are done, because a lot of them aren't sort of slaves to the continuity that the mainline runs are, so the stories can be really, really interesting. And it gives comic book artists and writers a chance to take risks without too terribly much on the line. I mean, if you mess up a one-shot, it's a lot better than messing up, let's say, the current run of Amazing Spider-Man, right? So what I was able to pick up was this set. This is Red Skull Incarnate, number 1 through 5. I'm going to go through individually and show you all the covers because these things are awesome. So with number 1, you've got this cover. All of these sort of look like propaganda posters, but they're different sort of styles. This one is just... What am I going to say that you can't see about it? Like, Red Skull looks menacing on the cover. You've got these bombers in the background, a city on fire. Like, it's just a really interesting cover and really menacing with Red Skull on the front of it. Number 2, again, looks like an old school propaganda poster. Like, this is something that if you replaced Red Skull with a different German dictator, it would look right at home. This just looks incredible. The Red Skull text in the title up at the top, it's just a perfect propaganda cover. I just think it looks really neat. And this was actually sandwiched in between them. It was a set, so they were all taped together. And I couldn't see anything but the first cover. So when I pulled this out, I was really happy to see it because it looks awesome. Number 3 might have my favorite cover of the entire lot, and it's this. Like, it's just a dark, menacing cover. You can see all the motion going from left to right. It just looks incredible. And again, this one was in the middle of that set, so pulling this out, it was like discovering a vein of gold or something. Like, it's just awesome. They do a really good job of making Red Skull look just really intimidating. So really happy to have this cover, Red Skull Incarnate number 3. Number 4 is a classic newspaper cover. This. You can see that it's Red Skull up in the top, like old typeface, and there's a whole article written in German with Red Skull's portrait right there on the cover. Looks sweet. Really, really happy to have this one. And the last in the series is Red Skull Incarnate number 5. You can see that his eye sockets are black with the white eyes in the middle of it. His teeth bared. It looks great. And then you've got those World War II era German tanks in the front marching upward. It just looks awesome. Really, really happy to have this entire set. The last booth that I went to was the one where you saw me looking through all of their slabs. Now, obviously, with the budget that I had, I couldn't have even gotten, one of those, even though there were a couple that I would have potentially wanted to get. But they did have wall books for $10, and I did get 2 of those. I'm really, really happy with what I picked up from this place. The first one that I picked up, I'll go ahead and get out of the way for you first, because it is Captain America and Batman, written by John Byrne. Hey, Mr. Akins. I know nothing about this book. I know that Captain America and Batman had an awesome moment in one of the JLA versus Avengers runs, where they're sparring on a rooftop. Really want to get that comic book. Such a cool moment. But I don't believe this is that. I think this is just a one-shot that they agreed to do. And I'm really excited to read it. And just the concept alone of 2 really awesome superheroes teaming up, or whatever's going on here, I'm on board. I'm sold. So, Batman and Captain America, jointly published by Marvel and DC. Super excited to have this in my collection. The last book that I got is a little bit off the wall for me. I'm not a DC collector at all. I barely know the DC keys, but I saw this one and I knew what it was immediately. This is Superman and Superboy from the Crisis event. This is the first appearance of Superboy Prime, a really powerful, multiversal DC villain. It's a really bad guy. And so I'm really excited to see how his story begins. Excited to learn more about the character. And for $10, yeah, that's fine with me. If for no other reason than maybe I can use this to trade or something later, if I don't want to keep it in my collection. But who knows? Once I read it, I might want to. So, Superman and Superboy. First appearance of Superboy Prime. So that's what I was able to pick up. Even with limited time and limited resources, I still think that I did a good job, and I still think that you can do a good job at shows like this if you just enjoy your time there, enjoy looking around at all the different things that these vendors have. Even if you don't pick up the biggest, best stuff, if you don't walk out of there with an X-Men 1 or an AF-15, I still think that you can have a really good time, especially if you're judicious about what you pick up and you know what you want to have. So which one of those was your favorite? Was it one of the signed books? Was it one of the $2 bin books? Was it the Red Skull Incarnate set? Or was it Batman and Captain America? Or that first appearance of Superboy Prime? I would love to hear your opinions on that. So go ahead and leave them down in the comments below, and I will respond to every single one of you. I love talking to you guys. The next video that I'm planning on doing is a comic book roundup. It's going to be those free comic book day books that I wasn't able to get, and pickups from my local comic book store, Borderlands Comics, and also a new comic book store in my area called The Certified Nerd. And I really hope you guys stick around to see that one. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it for you. Happy weekend, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.